Has criticized the network as a propaganda machine and obviously a national security expert. Thank you for joining me tonight. What is your view of the current policy of Donald Trump versus Russia, given his latest comments and its impact on our national security?
Well, I worked against the Russians for many years. I think I know them pretty well. And in my view, I am convinced that Donald Trump is basically a slave of Vladimir Putin. Trump is obviously afraid of Putin. Putin's the only person he will never criticize by name. Yesterday, the world, friends, enemies, and neutrals, the world was treated to the spectacle of an American president groveling to the new czar of Russia. It was unbelievable. And not only, the worst part of it, though, isn't what happened before our eyes. That was bad enough. That was terrible. To me, it was indeed an act of treason, siding with Putin against his own government, against his own intelligence agencies, and basically slobbering over Putin. But what worries me far more is what damage might have been done and probably was done behind closed doors. Trump went into that one-on-one, mano-a-mano session with Putin utterly unprepared. He doesn't know the background. He doesn't read his notes. Putin obviously could, even without having anything to hold over him, anything to blackmail with, could have run circles around him. But I do believe, as a former Russian analyst, that the salient points of the infamous dossier, the Steele dossier, are true. I believe that Trump is subject to blackmail, certainly financially. Here's a guy with 4 bankruptcies and a lot of murky business behind him. And that, by the way, would have been the initial thing that attracted the Russians. You know, the Russians give us more credit than we deserve sometimes. They would never have dreamed 10 years ago that we would elect Donald Trump president. Rather, they would have been attracted to him because of his media role, media influence, and the chance to launder money through his multi-layered corporations, his real estate deals. They didn't get serious about actively supporting Trump until he won the nomination, because even through the primary process, they could not believe we would put this guy up for president. But then they did indeed go all in, and I believe they've got a financial grip on Trump, some illicit things that he did. But also, the Russians always try to get you 2 ways if they can. Donald Trump was in Moscow. We know there were murmurings about prostitutes. But you know, from what you know of Donald Trump's character, can you believe that if at midnight 2 stunningly gorgeous Russian hookers showed up his door and said, "We got a gift from your friend," that Donald Trump would have said, "Young ladies, go home to your mothers and I shall pray for you"? I mean, this is a man who is a perfect target for Russian intelligence. He has a sense of sexual entitlement, no self-restraint whatsoever, and he's got those tangled financial dealings. And by the way, Putin, once again, as he did earlier with Megyn Kelly, by the way, he said that, well, we don't spy on everybody. We don't have the manpower. Yes, they do. They do spy on everybody. If you went to Moscow or Vladivostok or St. Petersburg or Yekaterinburg, if you were a businessman, an official, or merely the gopher of that businessman or official, you were being spied upon. You were being filmed in your bathroom in the hotel. Everything you did was recorded. And by God, Trump was the perfect target. So to make a very long story short, I believe that President Trump has and is actively betraying our country.
Well, it's strong language, but rests on the experience you have in our military. You're saying that what we witnessed yesterday, in your view, was this betrayal. The president has now tried to amend a single word from everything that happened. As you say, the most important national security activity was not in public, so we don't know what else happened. That was just what he was willing to do in public. Let me play for you for your response. Let me play for you and for viewers a little more from yesterday.
President Putin was extremely strong and powerful in his denial today. He offered to have the people working on the case come and work with their investigators with respect to the 12 people. I think that's an incredible offer. What happened to Hillary Clinton's emails? 33,000 emails gone, just gone. I think in Russia they wouldn't be gone so easily. It's ridiculous what's going on with the probe.
With your knowledge of our national security apparatus, what were the meetings like today from both the appointees and career people? And what is the role, if anything, that you've said? If a third of what you've said turns out to be true, and you would admit some of what you've said is not yet proven in the public record with regard to the dossier and may never be, but if even part of it is true, what should the national security apparatus do today?
Well, the national security apparatus is doing what it should do. It keeps on trucking. They are going to continue doing their jobs because they are professionals. But you can't expect morale to be very high. I mean, what do you do when you have a president who gravitates toward Vladimir Putin, who slavishly praises Vladimir Putin, who melts down on stage with a demented rant about a server and Hillary Clinton's emails? What do? You keep on going. You keep doing your job. And by the way, the fact that our government, despite Trump, continues to function so well is a tribute to that horrible deep state of professional bureaucrats. Our government is amazingly robust. We will survive Trump. Some of our alliances may not. But the damage this man does on a daily basis to our security, to our interests, to our allies, even to his supporters,
daily,
is literally incalculable.
You know, it's a serious time, but I didn't know that the wisdom we would get from you would be from Eddie Kendricks. Keep on trucking, as you put it.
The Grateful Dead, man, come on.
Well, trucking by the Grateful Dead as well, but, you know.
Yeah, you're right.
It's both. But I don't want to disagree with the man in uniform. You've been on a tear, sir.
Hey, Zap Comics.
Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, I hope you come back on the beat.
Sure.
Coming up, Bob Mueller,